Hey there and welcome. We think we know what wealth looks like. Flashy cars, designer clothes, the whole deal. But what if I told you that real wealth is pretty much invisible? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the 9 habits of the secretly wealthy and turn their quiet strategies into a real, actionable guide you can start using, like, right now. All right, let's get into it. This quote, wow, it just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? And the research totally backs us up. See, the people who look rich and the people who are rich, they're often two completely different groups of people. The real fortunes are built quietly, behind the scenes. Let me paint a picture for you with a quick story. So, imagine this car in your office parking lot. It's a 2009 Toyota Camry. The paint's a little faded. Maybe there's a small dent in the bumper that's been there for years. Every single day, you see your coworker hop out of this thing. What's the first thought that pops into your head? Let's be honest, most of us would jump to the same conclusion. We'd probably think, he must be struggling a little bit, Maybe living paycheck to paycheck, credit cards maxed out. It's such an easy assumption to make based on what we see, but it is almost always dead wrong. Because here's the reality check. That coworker, he's got $4.7 million sitting in index funds. His house is completely paid off. He literally doesn't even touch his salary because his investments cover all his living expenses. The guy could retire tomorrow if he wanted to. That Camry wasn't a sign of struggle, it was a deliberate choice. And that right there, that's the huge difference between what we call performative wealth and real wealth. The classic book, The Millionaire Next Door, found that most self-made millionaires live in regular middle-class neighborhoods and drive totally normal cars. See, performative wealth is all about looking rich. Real wealth is about having assets that work for you, creating actual freedom. So, how in the world do they do it? Well, it all starts upstairs. It starts with a completely different way of thinking. Before you get to any actions or strategies, there's this fundamental shift in mindset. Let's break down the first 3 habits. Okay, now look at this, because this is one of the biggest mental shifts you can possibly make. For most people, money is just loaded with emotion, right? Anxiety, status, shame, you name it. For the truly wealthy, it becomes a tool. It's just information. It's neutral data. They might say something costs $150 with the same boring tone you'd use to say it's 72 degrees outside. That emotional charge is just gone. And when you start seeing money as just data, it leads to this natural sense of privacy. They don't go around talking about their income or how much their watch cost. Wealth just exists quietly. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need validation. It's not about being secretive. It's just that the topic isn't all that emotionally interesting to them anymore. The second habit is all about delayed gratification. But, and this is key, it's not about having superhuman willpower. They just use a simple, rule-based system. A filter. For small purchases, under $200, wait 24 hours. For medium stuff, up to a couple grand, wait a week. And for anything really significant, give it a full 30 days. This isn't about suffering. It's a clever system to outsmart your own impulses. And here's the beautiful, simple reason why that system works so well. You know how it is. That thing that feels absolutely essential at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday night, it often seems totally silly by Wednesday morning. This little waiting period just acts as a filter. Those fleeting impulses they fade away. But your real priorities? Oh, they'll easily survive the wait. Which brings us to the last mindset habit. They completely check out of the comparison game. It really boils down to this. Every single dollar you spend to keep up with the Joneses is a dollar that can't be invested, can't be put to work, can't be grown. They understand that social status is a trap that forces you to trade away future freedom for appearances right now. Okay, so we've got the mindset down. Now, how does that translate into what they actually do with their money? Let's move on and see how this all shows up in their day-to-day spending strategy. Let's circle back to the car for a second. A brand new, say, $50,000 car can lose up to 30% of its value in the first year alone. That's 15 grand just gone. The secretly wealthy person, they just buy the 5-year-old version of that same car for maybe $25,000. They very happily let someone else take that massive, massive depreciation hit for them. And the differences makes over time is just staggering. A typical new car payment is around $600 a month. If instead of paying that, you invested that same $600 a month in a simple index fund for 30 years, assuming an average 8% return, it could grow to almost $900,000. That is the real cost of that new car smell. So where do they spend their money? Well, on boring things, things that work. A great accountant who saves them more in taxes than their fee costs. Rock solid comprehensive insurance to protect everything they've built. A fee-only financial advisor. This is the unsexy, functional spending that actually builds and protects wealth, not the stuff you post on Instagram. Now, this next one is going to sound a little weird at first, but stick with me because it makes perfect sense. They might spend 45 minutes researching an $80 pair of jeans, but when the roofer says they need an $18,000 roof repair, they write the check without hesitating. Why? Because delaying a big, necessary expense almost always costs you way more in the long run. A leaky roof today becomes $40,000 in water damage tomorrow. They handle needs immediately and research their wants patiently. So they've got the mindset dialed in, and they have the spending strategy. The final piece of the puzzle is building the engine that actually grows their wealth over the long haul. This one is so huge. It's the lifestyle inflation trap. I want you to picture your income like water pressure in a pipe. When most people get a raise, what do? They widen the pipe. A nicer car, a bigger apartment. The secretly wealthy? They keep the pipe narrow. The income pressure goes up, sure, but that extra money doesn't get spent. It gets saved and invested. Now, as their wealth starts to grow, a really fascinating shift happens. Money is no longer their scarcest resource. Time is. So they start to optimize for time. They'll pay more for a direct flight to save 4 hours in an airport. They'll use a grocery delivery service. The question completely changes from, can I afford this, to, is the time this buys me back worth more than the money? And finally, their long-term perspective. When the market crashes, and as you can see, it has crashed many, many times, most people panic. They sell everything at the bottom. The wealthy, they stay calm. They know that historically, every single downturn has been followed by a recovery and then new all-time highs. They're not investing for the next 3 months. They're investing for the next 30 years. In fact, they completely reframe the situation. This is the ultimate mindset hack. A market decline isn't a crisis. It's a sale. It's an opportunity to buy the exact same high-quality assets at a huge discount. While everybody else is screaming and running out of the store, they're calmly walking in with a shopping cart. Okay, let's bring this all together. Let's wrap this up and go right back to where we started, that old Toyota Camry in the parking lot. By now, you see it, right? That Camry wasn't an accident. It was the logical, inevitable result of these 9 habits applied over and over again for decades. He treated money like a tool. He drove a paid-off car. He spent on the boring but important stuff. He mastered his impulses. He ignored market chaos, and he completely stopped caring what his neighbors were doing. He chose freedom over flash. The man in the Camry understands principles that aren't a secret anymore. They're right here, available to anyone who chooses to use them. So the real final question is for you. Looking at this list, which one of these habits will you start building today?